All right, everybody, here we are in the town of Banff. I'm just going to show you behind me is one of the transit centers here. This is the Downtown West Transit Center. Kitty corner across the street is the high school transit center hub. The bus system here in town during the summer is okay. It's not the greatest, but it's not the worst. You know, if you were trying to catch this bus right here and you were a couple minutes late, you'd probably have to sit 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes. It's not like a bus comes every 5 minutes or anything like that. So it's not a really quick shuttle, but there are buses. There's multiple ways to pay for the bus. One is good old cash. You can pay with good old cash. But two apps that I recommend you download and put on your phone so you have for use are the Token Transit app and the Double Map app. And so the Double Map app actually shows you the live view of where the buses are at any given moment. So you can actually see where your bus is at, where it's stopped. Now the Transit Token app, that is where you can buy your bus passes. You can buy bus passes for in the city of Banff, if you're going to Canmore, or if you need transportation to Johnston Canyon or Lake Louise. You can also buy super passes and things through that app. I recommend you download those and give those a use. I'll do a quick little demo as well. So let's go ahead and look at the Double Map app. Once we click onto it, this will be our view here. We kind of get a bird's eye view of the region from Banff Town all the way to the northwestern end, which is where kind of Lake Louise and Yoho National Park is here. And then if we zoom to the southeastern tip, we can see Canmore. But let's go ahead and focus in on Banff Town. Here you can see the northeastern tip. And then we can kind of scoot over and look into the main area of town. We can kind of see that main road going down, and then all the way to the south end by the Fairmont Hotel, which is the last stop of the buses in town. So let's go ahead and look at this bus number 2 here and see how this works. If I click on this bus, it tells me that it's going towards Tunnel Mountain and it's heading northwest. So once I click on this arrow, I can see exactly which bus stations this bus is going to stop at. Depending where I am, I know which bus stop is closest to me. So let's say, for example, I am in town and I'm at the McDonald's. If you look at this map, you see these little black dots. These are the bus stations. If I click on this one here, it's the Downtown Caribou East station. So then I'm going to go back to this bus number 2 and I'm going to see if it stops at this bus station. And it does, so great. If I'm at the McDonald's, I'm just going to hang out at that bus station and I can see that that bus is heading this way. So I like this app because it gives me a live real-time view of where the buses are going, and I kind of estimate when it's going to arrive, because the schedules that are listed are not always accurate. Now conversely, you can use Google Maps as well. Google Maps was pretty good as well, but not always accurate too. So this is just extra so that you can kind of see where the buses are and help you with the planning and getting around town and to the different regions around Banff as well. So now let's look at the Token Transit app. You open the app, it takes you to the page that says Buy Passes or My Passes. So click Buy Passes here. And one thing you want to pay attention to is the top. You want to make sure it says Rome Transit, because this services other areas. You see all these different options. Make sure it's on Rome Transit. So here you can see it shows that I'm an adult, kind of, and that I'm purchasing a system-wide pass. It's set here because this was the last pass I purchased. But there are lots and lots of options. So let's go ahead and hit the zone and see what it gives us. Here we have all the regions and destinations that the Rome Transit goes to. Let's click local here. All right, so we can go ahead and pick the different ride options. Let's go with the 10 ride and see what that gives us. So the way that this works is the app will have all of your passes stored in it, and then you have to go in and then activate your passes when you're going to use them. So for this type of pass, you have 30 minutes from the time you activate it to the time you use the bus pass. So keep that in mind when you're planning and where you're going to go, to make sure that you don't activate it and then let me go grab some ice cream and the line is really long and you get back and now you've lost your bus pass. Now there are different types of passes. Let's say you buy a day pass for Johnston Canyon. Well, the day pass for Johnston Canyon is valid for a whole day and it's unlimited. So if you activate it at 8 a.m., you have all day until midnight to use this day pass. So just make sure you read the fine print and know what you're purchasing so that you take advantage of your purchase and you don't lose a ticket unknowingly. Now that I finished talking about the 2 apps that I think that you should use while you're at Banff, I want to share a little secret about getting to Lake Louise. And I call this a secret because in my research and my pre-Banff research, I didn't find this anywhere. Now, I'm sure some YouTuber, some blogger has written about this, but I didn't find it. The only reason I knew was because the gal at my hostel that was at the front desk told me about it. And to be honest, I didn't really believe her until I shared it with some of my hostel mates and they tried it the next day and it worked. So I thought, okay, this is legitimate. So of course, you know that Banff is really busy, especially Lake Louise, and a lot of people buy tickets ahead of time. So say if you're planning 3 to 6 months ahead of time, you can go to the Rome Transit website and reserve a seat on the Rome Transit bus to Lake Louise. But let's say you didn't do that, or you just decided to go in the next 2 weeks, and this is the time that you're planning. You're on the website trying to get a reservation, and you realize every time slot is sold out. And I guarantee you they will be sold out, except maybe the last 2, which are much later in the day. And you really don't want to take those because you won't have a lot of time to explore when you're up there, or let alone go to Moraine Lake. So what do? Well, the secret is that those reservation tickets, you'll see they're all sold out, but that doesn't mean the bus is full. What they do, and they don't tell anybody this, is that some of the seats are reserved for the reserved riders, but they reserve a portion of those seats for standby general admissions riders, which is that super pass that I talked about on the Token Transit app. So, for example, if the bus has 60 seats, they'll reserve about 40 for those that have reserved tickets, and then 20 or so will be for general admissions or standby riders. So in my case, when I got in line, I was a little late in line, so I think my bus had like 24 seats that they gave to standby riders, and I was like the 25th person, so it cut off right before me. But you know what? Not a real big deal. There's another bus coming in about 45 minutes, so I just waited, and I was the first person on the next bus. I still got to Lake Louise. I still got to do everything I need to do, and Moraine Lake. So if you're not able to get a reservation, know that this is something that you can do. Your other option is to book a private shuttle, but you're going to pay probably twice as much for a private shuttle. So this is another option for you if you were not able to reserve a ticket like 3 months in advance. So another tip I want to give about Lake Louise is that if you're driving, you have to arrive early because parking is very limited. If you arrive later, you will not be able to find parking. You will not be able to get to Lake Louise. Another thing you need to know is that if you're planning to go to Moraine Lake, you cannot drive to Moraine Lake. So you will have to park and then take a shuttle to Moraine Lake. And just a quick plug, if you like my content and you see value in what I provided, go ahead and hit that like button, follow for more videos like this, and go ahead and comment and let me know where you're watching from. All right, let's get back to it. Now let's go and I'm gonna show you guys kind of what town looks like. Banff has one main street that runs in the middle here, and then all these cross streets that cross by. Lots of restaurants, lots of shops. If you're gonna stay in town, I recommend you stay along this area because the buses are easier to get to. There are convenience stores, grocery stores, restaurants, etc. Actually, I'm gonna walk this way because over here is the IGA just behind me here. The IGA is back there. I don't know if you can see that. There it is, back there. That's the IGA. So if you're going hiking and you need supplies, water, snacks, whatever, you can go to that IGA. But yeah, let me flip the camera around. Let me show you what else we got. This here is Wolf Street, intersection of Wolf Street and Banff Avenue. Now, this is one of those intersections where you can cross many, many ways. So I'm gonna kitty cross like this once. Oh, try not to hit that kid. Once the lights allow you to walk, you can walk diagonal. I guess it's kind of like that big intersection in Japan. But yeah, that's a lot of the intersections here in Banff. Here's an example of the Rome bus. Again, hit that Rome website. It will give you a lot of information about the bus routes, etc. And then download those 2 apps I mentioned. That will save you a lot of time. Now, before we get any further about Banff and the surrounding area, I want to rewind a little bit and talk about getting to Banff. Now, obviously you can drive, but I'm going to talk about coming in from the airport because I think that's where a lot of people are coming in from. So the Calgary airport is the closest airport, and from Calgary to Banff, it's about an hour and a half. Obviously, you could rent a car and make that drive yourself, but again, everything is really expensive. So if you're gonna rent a car, do it really early. Try to get the best rate that you can. But let's say you don't have a car and you're a backpacker like myself and you're trying to find bus transportation. So the cheapest option that I'm aware of is the On It bus. I believe it's $10 transportation from Calgary to Banff, but there are two caveats with that. The on-end bus only runs Thursday through Sundays. So if you're arriving on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're out of luck and you can't get on the bus. The other caveat of that is that this bus doesn't run from the airport. It runs from a couple different areas in the city of Calgary, but it does not run from the airport. So if you're coming from the airport, you're going to need to find transportation to the pickup spot down in downtown Calgary before you can get on this bus. So my next recommendation is to use an app called BusBud. Now again, I'm not sponsored by any of these apps or anything, but I think this is just a good app. I've used it all over the world, Central America, and I found it to be very helpful. The advantage of BusBud is that it will search all the local buses and all the different private companies and shuttles in the area, give you their rates, their destinations, and what time they leave. And so you can search through all these different companies really quickly. Now, as a traveler, if you're trying to do that manually yourself, there's going to be so many companies that you don't even know about that you won't even be able to search. And you can also buy directly on the BusBud app. Now, when I first started using it, I decided to look at the individual company and go through their website just to compare prices to see if there was a big surcharge. And I actually found that there wasn't. I found the prices were exactly the same. So it's just easier to just use the app and purchase my ticket directly through the app. It worked really flawlessly. So I recommend you download that, give it a shot, and give it a use. The second app that I recommend for this is called Poparide. Poparide is only available in Canada, but it's essentially a ride-sharing app. But it's different from Uber and Lyft in that, let's say there's a local person who lives in Calgary and that happens to be driving to Banff in 3 days or whatever. Well, that person can list that trip and see if anybody wants to ride with them. And if there is somebody going that way, you can connect with them directly and then you can hop on and just take a ride with them. It's a lot cheaper. So instead of paying $50 for a shuttle ticket, you might pay $15 to sit in somebody's car and ride with them to Banff or wherever you're going. So I actually did book a ride on Poparide from Calgary to Banff, but what happened was my flight got delayed, so I could no longer make the pickup time, so I had to cancel it. But I did talk to a lot of other folks who use Poparide, and they found it to be really helpful, cost saving, and worked pretty flawlessly for them. So stopped there for a little mini lunch before going out to Johnston Canyon. And let me tell you, this is not a cheap destination, okay? So I have a chai latte and a breakfast bagel. Cost me $17 Canadian, so like $15 US. This is one of those destinations you want to plan for, make good financial decisions, maybe plan to cook some meals and shop at the grocery store for a couple of those, because otherwise it's at minimum $17, $18 for a meal. And so if you have 3 meals a day, that can really add up. So this brings me to my biggest tip about Banff, and it should come as no surprise, and that is to plan early. As you can see, Banff is not a cheap destination. Everything from lodging to bus tickets, shuttle tickets, to cars if you're renting a car, everything will just increase the longer you wait. Now, when I was planning my trip, I looked at hostel rooms because as a backpacker, I typically stay in hostels. They were not too bad, around $50 a night or so. A few months later, when I was finally ready to book, those prices went up close to $100 a night. Now that's just for a hostel. That is a bunk in a shared room. So if you like to be in a hotel, or you've got a family, if you got multiple people, do book early, because you're going to be looking at things like $300 a night for a hotel. So make sure you plan early and plan ahead. So let's talk about lodging. Now at Banff, there are lots of different lodging options. Obviously Airbnbs, hotels, hostels, campgrounds. Now, one recommendation I have is that you take a look at the map of Banff town. This is especially important for people who don't have a vehicle or are going to be relying on public transportation. Now, if you look at the map of Banff, you'll see there's a main area and there's a main street. And then Banff town kind of has this offshoot on the northeastern end near Tunnel Mountain, where there are a lot of hotels over there. There's a hostel over there. There's a campground over there. And so when you just glance at this map, like what I did when I was reserving, I didn't look at it real closely. I just glanced at it and thought, oh, It's not too bad. This is just a little kind of road off the side of the road. I could probably walk, maybe 5-10 minute walk. But when I got there, I found that was not the case. Now this area by Tunnel Mountain is just far enough that it's really not practical to be walking this distance. Now, maybe you might do it once and it's kind of fun, but if you're walking this distance multiple times a day, you're really killing a lot of your time. Let's say you're in the Tunnel Mountain area and you want to go to Lake Louise, or let's say you have a bus pass for the 7 a.m. bus to Lake Louise the next day. In order to get to that bus stop by 7 a.m., you have to take the 6:15 bus from Tunnel Mountain into town. So if you're taking the 6:15 bus, you got to calculate you're getting up around 5:30 or something so that you can get down to the bus station. So it really does change the way that your day is going to be organized so that you can get to the main transit hub. So do keep that in mind when you're planning. All right, here we are at the high school transit hub here. I'm at stop number 9 because I'm taking number 9 bus to Johnston Canyon for today. If you look around over here, you see all these other buses. This is the 8S and 8X bus. Oh shit, this is the 9. I didn't see my buses here. Alright, so I just got on the number 9 bus to Johnston Canyon. And so it's important to know with the bus rides and the bus passes that there are local bus passes and then there are regional ones. So if you have a local bus pass, it allows you to go throughout the town of Banff, south end to north end, to the hot springs, the gondola ride, things like that. But it will not take you to areas outside of Banff or outside of the town of Banff. So what you need to do is get a regional ticket, and you can do this on the app that I've talked about. You can buy it in town. You can also pay cash on the bus as well. But a couple people did try to get on this bus with the local bus pass. The driver had to tell them, oh, that's only for local. You have to buy the regional one if you're going to go outside of the city, because this bus is a regional bus and not a local Banff bus. So keep that in mind as you are preparing for transportation and getting the right tickets to wherever you need to go. Speaking of local and regional buses, I want to bring your attention to this chart right here. If you go to the Rome Transit website, www.rometransit.com, you'll find this chart and a whole bunch of other information. Now, I like this chart because on this chart, I can see exactly what the bus number is, where it's going, when it operates, how much a day pass costs, how much a super pass costs, how much a single ride costs. It's a really, really good visual to see. Now, on the flip side, you can look at this chart, which is the exact same, except this is the multi-day chart. The other bit of information that's really important on this chart is that you can see all the destinations that the Rome Transit bus goes to, which means that you also know which destinations it doesn't go to. So let's say you want to go to Emerald Lake, Peyto Lake, you want to go outside of that Banff area, you want to go to the ice fields, you want to go up to Jasper and all these other places that are really cool and nice. Well, you can't get there on the Rome Transit bus, so you have to find another source of transportation, another private shuttle to get there. To do that, you can use the 2 apps that I mentioned, BusBud and PulpaRide, or you can just go and search through any other private companies that will get you there, or find a friend or rent a car, get you to those places that are a little bit more off the beaten path. So that's it for this quick intro to Banff / transportation guide. If you like my content and you saw value in what I provided, go ahead and give me a like, follow, subscribe. I will be making more videos about the different destinations that I visited in Banff, including Lake Louise, Moraine Lake, Lake Minnewanka, and a lot of other places. So keep an eye out for those coming soon. Again, thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.